All right, Nick, let's talk about the Ohio State Buckeyes. We've been talking to them all this past offseason, primarily about guys doing good or people that the Buckeyes have picked up, new recruits. But this is a potential here, but I think this is a potential that is very, very interesting. Let's get into the first article and then we'll go to the second, and I'll hear from you on the other side. This first piece is from over at Hayes Fawcett at On3 Sports. It says breaking. Five-star edge Isaiah Gibson has decommitted from USC. He tells me for On3 Recruits. The 6'5", 260-pound edge from Warner Robins, Georgia, has been committed to the Trojans since March. He's ranked as the number 1 edge in the 25 class. Ohio State fans may say, okay, what does this have to do with the Buckeyes? Well, it kind of has a lot to do with the Buckeyes. Let's get to the next image showing the timeline of official visits and commitments by Gibson. You see here, Gibson visited Ohio State on June 18th, 2024. And interesting enough, on June 18th, 2024, he also decommitted from the Trojans. I think this is really interesting for Ohio State. I think it bodes well for them potentially picking up Gibson off of this big-time recruiting news. But Nick, I'm curious what your thoughts are on this one. Before we get to you, Ohio State fans, we want to hear from you in the comment section below. We're talking about a 5-star edge rusher. We're talking about one of the best potential athletes coming into this 2025 class. But you're no stranger to big-time edge rushers. You've had a lot of really great ones. And it's going to be a tough question, but I'm going to ask it anyways. Who is your favorite edge rusher in Ohio State history? In the comment section below. There's like 10 that have been really, really dominant. So let us know, though, who is your favorite in the comment section below. But Nick, what do you think about this interesting recruiting news for Ohio State?
So I think it's proof the Ohio State Buckeyes are about to shock the world and pull off an incredible move. I think they're going to get Isaiah Gibson, right? Because if you look at the timeline, even further expanded, and I know the kid's from Georgia, he's from Warner Robins. I've been to Warner Robins a number of times, right? That is Georgia Bulldog country, undeniably so. But let's look at the timeline here. So in April, Gibson took a visit to Tennessee, right? This whole time he's committed to USC. And June 7th, he goes to South Carolina. June 12th, he goes to Auburn. June 14th, he has his official visit to Tennessee. June 14th, he also has an official visit to Florida Gators, so he made a day out of it. And then June 18th, he had his official visit to Ohio State, and then he decommitted, right? He didn't decommit after he visited Georgia, May 31st. He didn't decommit after visiting Tennessee or South Carolina or Auburn. And this wasn't like his last official visit. He's still scheduled to go to Oklahoma on June 21st. What does that mean? It means that Ohio State's recruiting pitch, their sales pitch, their recruiting staff, Ryan Day, everyone involved, put on an incredible sales job. And Gibson right now is, I would bet money that he's leaning heavily towards Ohio State. And this is an incredible job by his staff, by Ryan Day's staff. Because if Ohio State, look, they get a lot of elite talent. That's undeniably so. But if they can literally go into the heart of the best team in football, that's the Georgia Bulldogs. Biases aside, I think we can all agree they're, over the past 3 years or so, and probably for the future, they've been the most consistent, the best team in football. If they can go deep into Georgia Bulldogs country, Warner Robins, Macon, Georgia, and get one of the best players in the country, that's the steal of easily the offseason, and it's not even close. And the fact, if you look at the timing and the context, and it really, really matters, right? Because again, I'm going to reiterate this. Gibson visited Georgia May 31st. He could have decommitted any time before that. He didn't decommit until he visited Ohio State that same day. That means something. And I think that means something huge is coming down with Ryan Day and his recruiting staff. And this doesn't just mean Gibson, right? If Ryan Day is able to have this kind of appeal and pull on a recruit like Gibson, that means he'll have it for a lot of other guys as well. This is a great sign for both the short-term and long-term future of the Ohio State program.
Yeah, Nick, and I think you bring up a valid point. People, all the pundits are like, predicting this guy goes to Georgia. But you talk about, he visited Georgia back in May. He could have decommitted then. But he also visited Georgia back in March. And he also visited Georgia again back in January as well. So he's been to Georgia 3 times. He never committed to them. He didn't decommit after he visited them. So, I mean, as much as you want to say the guy's going to Georgia, I think the proof's in the pudding when you look at Ohio State. The day there's not even the day after, the day he visits Ohio State, he decommits from Southern Cal. I think, like you said, this bodes so well for Ohio State. I don't know why people aren't favoring them to pick him up. I think it's kind of crazy. I am. I know you are. I think this is big news for the Buckeyes. Like you said, I think they're going to shock the world. Everyone seems to see Georgia as the favorite to land this guy. But if you look at the visits, it really doesn't make sense. He could have committed to Georgia earlier on this offseason. He decided to commit to Southern Cal. Then, when he goes to visit Georgia again, he could have decommitted from Southern Cal. Doesn't do that. Ohio State, that's the magic ticket that got him to rescind his offer. This is the magic team that's going to pick him up. And I think he probably sees Ohio State. They've had a heck of a lot of great edge rushers throughout their history. They know how to make first round, number 1 overall draft picks out of edge rushers. And this is where you want to go if you want to be elite.